amazing guest for you today. Thank you guys who watched earlier when we had record-breaking numbers with Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Today, I have someone who you may or may not be familiar with, honestly, until I met him at an influencer conference in Florida last year. I had not heard of him, but he is literally a YouTube sensation, over almost 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. And he's studying public health, and he does amazing videos. He's the science guy is who he is. And if you have questions, you can certainly ask them to him. But first, I want him to tell a little bit of his story. His name is Mike the Vegan. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you again.
Hey, it's great to be here. Coming in hot from Iowa with my hat hair right now.
I love how your shirt and your wall just kind of match.
Oh yeah, I use it as a green screen, so I just stand there. You can't see me. No.
That is very cool. So who is Mike the Vegan? How did you get started, and how did you really become a YouTube sensation in the vegan world?
Sensation. Well, five years ago, I started my channel when I was back in Chicago, and basically, I've been vegan for a while, and I was super, I don't know, into doing my due diligence and paranoid when I was first going vegan. So I did a ton of research and kind of amassed an okay amount of knowledge. And then from people constantly coming at me about being vegan, I then started developing like research-based responses to that. And eventually a few people were like, you should make a YouTube video about that. You should make a YouTube video about that. And so finally, when I was working at a startup and I ran out of funding and I had some extra time, I was like, I'm gonna film a couple videos on YouTube. So filmed a couple YouTube videos and no one watched them at first, but then eventually people started watching. So that's how it all started.
That's great. Well, you do it very well. Do you enjoy doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun. And I definitely, there was a point, you know, where you post your first 3 videos and you get like 5 to 10 views each and you're like, no one's watching. That was when I decided to keep doing it like for myself. So I think I would be doing it regardless, maybe not as often once a week is what I always do, but I'd still be doing it. Sure.
How did you develop the particular topics that you talk about? Like, why is that your area of interest instead of, say, cooking like me?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I started out talking about the research because that was what I felt like I wanted to share and wasn't being shared because there wasn't that much research in the YouTube community on vegan stuff at that point. And people just kept requesting that. I kind of boxed myself in. And so then by the time I would ever do like a what I eat in a day video, like 1/3 as many people would watch it. So it's just kind of like positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement for the different types of videos. So you have your niche, Chef AJ. I'm not Chef Mike for a reason. So
I know what you mean. That is so funny. Where did you get your interest in public health in general? Because you're sort of like the Michael Greger of YouTube.
Yeah, some people call me like the millennial Greger. Obviously, he's a doctor, and I'm just a public health student. Studying a master's, but I think it was just realizing the degree of, I don't want to say power, but ability that people have to be preventing diseases and reversing some of these diseases that are people's leading killers, leading sort of takers of good quality of life. You know, you can smack those diseases with this diet. So it's like, why not share it? It's like definitely an ethical drive for me to share it. That's for sure.
I had shared with you privately once about some channel that's like an anti-vegan channel and asked you if you could please go after them for me on my behalf. I'm just wondering, do you have your share of trolls?
Oh, definitely. Like if I do an interview with bad lighting, like there's a good chance there's going to be like a 45-minute zooming in on my face and talking about how I'm on drugs or something. So like there's like a 50% chance some like carnivore person will take apart this video and be like, look at his eyes, look into those eyes, like, look at that. And right now I just don't have as good a lighting as normal. So probably you can see maybe under this eye, there's a shadow. Oh, it's over for me. I'm on death's door, according to these people, which is funny because I got like inflammation results back, and I'll talk about those in a video, but some results back. It's like, obviously I'm not. And obviously people that they go after are not as well, yet they, you know, repeatedly say, you know, so just diagnose them with random diseases. Like my color balance was off in one video, and therefore I have jaundice. Like I have jaundice because I look a little yellow. Like that's how they function. You know, they deny science and stuff like that too, just outright. Like, anyway, I could ramble forever, but we don't need to.
No, it's just so funny that whenever somebody's anti-vegan and somebody vegan has anything, it's always like, she was in a car accident, it's because she's vegan.
Oh, literally,
Yeah.
it's not. And there's so many things that are like either genetic or like another one, that same person went off after Lily Koi Hawaii and was like, oh, look at these sort of creases on their upper eye. It's because they're vegan and wasting away. She's vegan and wasting away. And it doesn't have enough protein to like keep her eyelids going. And then she shows like a picture of her dad, who is not vegan at all, has the exact same eyes at her exact age. Like, it doesn't matter what the truth is for people. These people just, I look at them as like energy vampires. They are latching on to the vegan YouTube community, which is in general thriving. There are, your 6 or 7 of people that have fallen off the wagon for various reasons, but most of these people are very healthy, very active people, and they are not about to die. And it helps to think that they are, so that you can justify what you're doing. And it helps energetically for them, I guess, to suck the energy out of these people. And they also, I guess they've decided they need to survive by sucking the energy out of animals by eating the 5 times as many animals as even their logic would tell them they need to. So, it's just energy vampire.
It's interesting because there's so much good to be done in the world. And these people, I mean, we're at least trying to make the world a better place. They're not doing anything to help anybody, in my opinion.
Yeah, at first, I mean, like they probably tell themselves like, I'm preventing people from getting deficiencies and being less healthy. And that's sort of what they say, completely ignoring all of the actual data on vegan versus omnivore disease rates and everything like that, which are lower across the board for vegans. And they just tell themselves, oh, vegans are going to be worse off. So I'm actually the hero in this situation. They actually make themselves out to be the hero in the situation, saving innocent people from harming people, which is, it's delusional.
Well, Stephanie says your videos are very well researched, and we all love that you state facts and science splashed with humor. How long does it take to research each video?
Ooh, totally depends. If it's a topic I'm familiar with, not as long. I try to add some new element of research in each one. Sometimes it's hard if I'm just responding to the same, like if I'm debunking somebody who's spouting out the same stuff, it's hard for me to not just default to the best studies that refer to that, that respond to that. But I just depends. Like it can be a couple hours of research to like 24 hours of research, and then a couple hours of editing to like 12 hours of editing. It's just not, it's not a formula.
Right. Well, Bridget says, I love all his videos, but enjoy the debunking videos the best. I appreciate all his work in the field he does on each topic. You know what I wanted to ask you, that most people that have a YouTube channel, regardless of how popular it is, there always seems to be like one video that's the most popular. Like for me, I don't have that much of a following, but I have one video that did. It was called Easy Meals to Make You Thin, that I did 6 years ago. Do you have one of those videos that just for some reason gets more views than any other video?
I have my How Your Body Transforms on a Vegan Diet video, which has definitely way more views than my average video. It has 1 million something. Maybe it's approaching 2 million, 1.5. I don't know. And that was a suggestion from somebody, which is why like 90% of my videos are suggestions from people. And that's pretty much just how it worked. And I thought it was going to be any other video. And I think because it sort of satisfied a certain type of mental, I don't know, desire, because the way I went through it, I was like, okay, here's the first day, here's the first 3 days, here's the first week, and went through all of the studies on what is happening in the body of people that go vegan in studies. And then, I don't know, it just happened to be like a well-organized video more than my other ones. And everybody also wants to have a body transformation as well, it seems like. So I don't know, just lucky.
If somebody's new to you, Mike, and they want to check you out, like, would you suggest where they start with you, just to
youtube.com/Mike the Vegan.
Right. No, I know your channel, but I mean, like, you have so many videos. Like,
yeah, I mean, that one's not a bad one to start. It also depends if you're just going vegan. I have like how to go vegan videos, maybe 3 or 4 of them. I actually have some cooking videos. Those actually did get pretty good views. Some of the cooking ones there did, but my average cooking one just gets nothing. So those, yeah, you could start at those. Trying to think if there's like a basic one. I don't know, maybe just go through some of the debunk videos, and because just have a good time watching it, because it can be fun to watch, more fun to watch those videos than other videos. But I don't know, just strike your fancy. So whatever diseases you're interested in, I probably have a video on that disease. So
Okay, the disease I'm interested in is SIBO. Do you have a video on SIBO?
Ooh, my closest video about SIBO would be my Ravana video. Ravana was one of those bigger ex-vegan people, and she said it was because SIBO. And so I went through potential causes for SIBO and things that she did that may or may not have caused SIBO that were not necessarily the vegan diet. And just going through it, going through her story.
Emily says my favorite of his is Debunking the Keto movie. So that sounds like a good one too.
Debunking the Keto Diet or the Magic Pill movie?
Oh, she writes Debunking the Keto movie. So
okay, I debunked the Magic Pill, which is a keto movie, but then I also debunked the keto diet in general, which is one of my most controversial videos. One of my more viewed videos, but it has a pretty high dislike ratio, a pretty large portion of keto people in there just being mad at me.
Monica says, why do so many people hate vegans? Do you think and brag about animals they eat and refuse to listen?
I mean, it's kind of necessary to keep doing what you're doing. You have to justify it. And if there's people going around being perfectly fine, not contributing to the harm that you know that you are contributing to, then that's going to create a little bit of cognitive dissonance, which is that uncomfortable feeling when your beliefs and actions do not line up. I have a video on cognitive dissonance. I'm going to stop plugging my videos here, but
well, no, I want to plug your videos because they're great, and I just because I myself need to start watching more of them. And I kind of, somebody wrote me today and said, where should I start with my channel? I'm like, I have over 500 videos. I don't know. It depends, like you say, what you're interested in. But I do think, I've been vegan a lot longer than a lot of people. It's 43 years. That's a really long time. So I've dealt with, I guess you could call the discrimination that you feel sometimes. And you don't even have to say anything, but people think that you think you're superior, even if you're acting completely normal.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's, and they have to think you're superior. And there was a study on discrimination, and it compared different groups of people, like vegans and drug addicts and different races. And it found that in certain cases, vegans are the only people that are discriminated worse than vegans is drug addicts in many situations. I don't think that's right. I think the racial discrimination is actually worse in real life. But in this study, based on just like the surveys they did, they found that there was more of a open discrimination against people that were vegan than basically all of the other groups, which is pretty impressive. And I just have to reiterate though, like obviously vegans have never been lynched, and we don't have the same discrimination, I think, as different races, but it's still noteworthy that a study would come up with those results. And it goes to show that people are really trying to bring those vegans down to feel better about themselves.
Yeah, well, the thing is because you don't necessarily know somebody's vegan just by looking at them.
That is also true. Also true. But like no one's like someone I haven't seen anybody with a vegan shirt just get like killed, and a lot of people wear vegan shirts.
Thank God, because I wear those a lot. There's an old joke. How do you know if somebody's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Yeah,
exactly. And that's like the funniest joke to people that aren't vegan.
So Monica says she loves your videos, and if she can ask how old you are. People seem
I am 30, and so I looked a bit older before I shaved my beard, which is coming back a little bit. It's been a couple weeks now, so you can watch my beard shaving video on my channel. It was chaotic.
Well, I'm twice as old as you, so I can.
There you go. You're too mean.
Well, I love that you really, focus on the science, and I'd like to talk a little bit about what we titled this broadcast today about coronavirus controversy. So people are entitled to their opinion, but there seems to be a broad spectrum, at least in the plant-based world, with some of the medical doctors being very, very concerned that this is very serious and it's not going to get better anytime soon. And other people that are really not medical doctors, but people that are in the plant-based world that think it's a conspiracy and it's, it's just a flu. And so people are confused. And then of course there's every opinion in between. So based on your research, and what do you think this is?
Do I think it's a hoax? Is that what you're asking me?
Well, I mean, just what do you think of this, the wide, what do you think of this epidemic?
I've done several videos on it, and I'm taking it very seriously. I initially went with the WHO's February press release saying that the flu was worse in many ways, and that's why I was like, okay, so it looks like it's probably not going to be or like as of right now, it's not as bad as the flu, which is something I even said a while back. But now what's happening is it's obviously way worse than the flu. And we've had, in just 1 month, we had 40,000 deaths in the US, I believe. And that's more than a lot of years. It's more than the flu, all of the flu deaths of the entire flu season. We've now hit 60,000 deaths, which is like the most we ever get from the flu season, pretty much. And that's deaths from, just a couple months of this going on. And people forget that the flu season started way before this and is usually going way longer than this. So when we're comparing this to a flu season that is like basically 5 or 6 months long, after, comparing it to previous ones that have already seen their course, and then we're talking about something that's really been happening here for 2 months, like that is actually just completely inaccurate comparison. And it's just not a healthy comparison at this point. It's not even correct. And then there's a lot of doctors, so a couple doctors, plant-based doctors in particular, and then one that people have specifically asked me to respond to, which I probably won't, in other capacities, is Pam Popper, who has said some very interesting stuff. It appears that I got from her that basically the lockdown shouldn't be happening, that this kind of is a hoax. Did she say that it was specifically a hoax? I don't really know.
I don't know if she said hoax. I don't
Okay.
follow her, but people send me her videos. But I know that she doesn't feel like we should be shut down. That I do.
Okay, so she's saying don't lock down. From what I
No
saw,
masks, no lockdown.
it seems like she wants everybody to just get out there, and her main concern is freedom. And I understand the concern for freedom, and I definitely I respect her and her views in terms of reversing diseases. She does a ton of great work helping people reverse those diseases with the whole food diet, vegan diet. But she's basically telling people, I could be wrong, from what I heard, is that the lockdown is complete nonsense and that we'd be better off not locking down, and that the dangers of the government restricting freedoms is worse than this. And I would just have to respond by saying that's, when you go outside, if you were to go outside, you're obviously risking the lives of older people. And so even if you're not purposefully doing it, you could potentially kill somebody. It's kind of like saying, it's totally cool just going into like an old folks community, going to like a nursing community, and they're walking around, it's a nice day, and you just deciding to put a brick on your accelerator and just driving through. Whatever happens, if some people die, it wasn't on purpose. I didn't purposefully hit any old people and kill them, but maybe I did. Maybe to me that's the same. And then even from a governmental perspective, being against the lockdown is kind of like saying, if the government, and this is kind of a crazy analogy, so don't rip me apart for this, but if the government knew the morning of that 9/11 was going to happen, and they didn't want to block off those buildings, they said, you're basically advocating to say, I still want to go into work and I still want to go into those buildings, sort of. That's an extreme example, but from a governmental perspective, that's what she's saying. And yeah, you could say, oh, she's taking away all, this is taking away all of our freedoms. People still have, there's so many freedoms. If you need to go to the grocery store, you can still go in these lockdown states. I don't know what the big deal is. If it got way worse, then yeah, we could be talking about that, and we can take that as it happens. But as of right now, you can go and grab what you need and be fine. And so I don't really see what the big deal is. I mean, and she also, another thing that worries me about those videos is that the comments are turned off. So she can't, if somebody comes at her with, statistics and is trying to expose that audience to other statistics, that she's kind of created a vacuum of people that probably have the same view, and for some reason I don't know what her views are on why she doesn't think this is harmful, or does she just think it should run its course? Because if you think it should run its course faster than you are saying, just outright saying that you think more people should die than need to, because the medical system will be overwhelmed and more people will die.
Yeah, and well, she's saying, I guess they're taking away our personal freedoms, and it's hurting the economy. And I think, I mean, I don't know. I really don't.
Okay, the economic argument, you could say more people. There's a lot of talk of like more people are gonna be dying because of the economic thing in the long run, and yeah, people. There are socioeconomic risk factors, and as people have less money and less resources, then they're less likely to be able to get healthcare and things like that. But this is not an issue of being locked down or not. This is actually more of a political issue in terms of resource allocation. We could easily be providing people with the money that they need, with the resources that we have, but based off, and I don't want to get too political here, but based off, political ideologies that are usually associated with being very guarded of freedoms to almost to the extreme level, are the ones that don't want to be helping people out with money usually. So I actually calculated before I came here that if you took the top 25 richest families in the US and you basically seized some of their wealth, not all of their wealth, you could give every American, including children, 4 checks for $1,000 each, which would last us, I would say, at least 2 more months. And with no economics, that would take off economic stress. And at the end, you could still allow each family to keep $1 billion. So this is a resource allocation issue. It's not a matter of whether, it's not a matter of the economy killing people. It's a matter of resource allocation killing people.
Okay. What about the vaccine? Have you done any videos on vaccines? And
I don't. It's a topic I generally don't touch because that's one that's there's just too much vitriol around it. I will say, this time around, I'm happy to see a lot of these vaccines being tested directly on people who are volunteering. And so obviously that's a way to really quickly get to herd immunity if it does happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen for a while. And I think that we're just gonna have to naturally get to herd immunity by flattening the curve before that happens. I think that's probably like 18 months out, but maybe not. I mean, I've heard some things of like, oh, some European country thinks there's gonna be widespread vaccine in a while. I'll believe it when I see it.
Wow. Are there any other topics you don't touch on your YouTube channel?
That's kind of like the one. It's pretty much just vaccines, and I still might do a video on that eventually. I'm still working on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Taylor says nobody is talking about 5G though. I don't know why we need to talk about that, to be honest. So I don't even know what it is. That's how in the dark I am, because
if we're talking about 5G in terms of the virus, I'll probably do a video on 5G later, and I will research it, search it more. There's just so many conspiracy theories around it, and I like I said, I want to research it more before I talk specifically about it. But it's very, very clear that 5G has no connection to the virus whatsoever. I'm sorry, it just does not. It's a radio, it's a electromagnetic frequency. It's not gonna be causing this virus. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Right. Well, like I said, we have extreme positions on both ends, and some of the plant-based doctors are saying, like, well, more people are dying of heart disease every minute, and that's
not even true anymore. That's the thing. That's the thing that bothers me the most about what doctors like Pam Popper are saying, is that they advocate so strongly against heart disease, and heart disease in the U.S., I believe, kills about 1,700 people per day, and we've been most days well over 2,000 people a day deaths from coronavirus. So what are you doing? This is with social distancing, and you're advocating for taking social distancing away. So that to say that you care about coronavirus, or say that you care about coronary artery disease, preventing heart disease deaths, and then to say that you want everybody to go out there and increase the death rate. I don't know, maybe she has some reason she thinks there isn't going to be an increased death rate. Maybe she thinks if everybody magically went vegan overnight, then we wouldn't have the death rates. That's not what's happening. I don't know. I'd have to talk to her. I don't want to put words in her mouth.
Right, exactly. And again, I didn't watch her videos. It's just what people tell me. I think that if people are older and sicker, I think she wants them to stay home, but the rest of us should just, get back to work. And
that's what Sweden tried to do, but they've had 2,000 deaths from nursing homes from trying to keep young people out, but old people in. They failed to protect their old people, and we'll see what happens. It's still unfolding there, but they have a much higher death rate than the surrounding Norse countries. So sacrifice your dead or sacrifice your old. That was a bad Freudian slip.
A couple of people had asked, when did you first go vegan, and what brought you to veganism?
It's been about 8 years, and my partner was vegan for 12. Maybe she's at 13 now. And she just handed me the China study. It was really her that did it, but she handed me the China study, and that's where on that day on a road trip, I went vegan. And then the next diner that we stopped at was pasta and string beans, and that was my first official vegan meal at trying to be vegan.
That's cool. Monica wants to know, is being a YouTuber your full-time job?
It is. I don't do anything else for money. Although I invested a little bit of money in my first stock ever, which was Beyond Meat. So I made a little bit of money from that. But as of like 3 years ago, I stopped all other work. And that's been it. Thankfully, I've had enough people between Patreon. Thank you so much, Patreon supporters, and ad revenue, which of course has dropped by like 2/3 because of all the ad people trying to pull out on YouTube. I think, or I don't know what the other reason is for it. And so I've been lucky. Ebook is really, people buying the ebook has helped. Little things like shirts always help.
Well, I don't know if it's just luck, because obviously you have a really good channel. So and when I met you, I told you I wish you would teach a class on how to be a successful YouTuber, because I don't know, I just do it. You obviously got some magic formula, so that's amazing.
And I did outline an entire like YouTube masterclass, and I made the first episode of it already. But there's just every time I need to do something, like every time I want to sit down and work on it, there's something that I need to respond to, or something that I need to do, or it was just the one project too many for me as of right now, but I still plan on doing it.
Well, I can help you, because that's what I do with my Better Life Summits, is we bring people's courses to life, basically, if you ever want to consider that. How long did it take to get to the success you're at, though? Like, how long have you been doing this for?
Really hard for me to get like the first couple hundred views. And thankfully Happy Healthy Vegan shared a video of mine that got me that. And then it took me like a better part of a year to make it to like 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers. And then it took me a while to then get to 100,000. So like, it's really hard to get to 10,000, also really hard to get to 100,000. And then, it just depends. Also depends on what kind of content you're making and what your audience is too.
What kind of content do you think people want?
Totally depends on the people. I mean, there's a huge appetite for like makeup videos, and those make a ton of money. There's so many things that you can do. I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that other than like the obvious areas. And those are all also very oversaturated. Like, people like watching gaming videos. Well, everybody and their cousin wants to start a gaming channel. So that's like the worst channel to start in terms of getting a viewership.
Okay, well, maybe I'll start doing makeup videos. It's just that I really kind of stopped wearing makeup about a year ago.
Do no makeup video.
Yeah.
Which is sad because, yeah, go for it.
Oh, no, I was going to say, just because all the guests that I have, most of them, like 99% are plant-based and have really nice skin. So people always want to know what everybody's skincare routine is, including the males.
Mm-hmm. And then it is sad though too, because I've seen a lot of big YouTubers that are makeup channels, and then they start getting like spiritually woke, and then they stop wearing makeup, and that people actually just stop like watching them because they don't like conventionally like what they want to look like. It's kind of not a healthy, it's not a healthy community sometimes either. So.
Wow. That is amazing. Yeah, people are saying they would love a class from you on how to do YouTube, how to be a successful YouTuber. That would be very. I told you that when I met you. And
yeah, no, I know, and that's what inspired it. So thank you.
Right, our good friend Robert Cheek is watching. He says hi.
Hey, Robert. Good to see you.
The show. You seem very calm and chill. Like I couldn't even knock you off. I mean, not that I'm going to attack you, but you seem like you're very balanced, and that no matter what I say, you could handle it.
Well, I'm definitely more chill. My live stream the other day, I had like technical difficulties for the first 3 minutes, and it just like set me off, and I was just like the whole time. So I was not as chill in my last live stream, but yeah, no, I'm pretty relaxed. But yeah, Robert Cheek, how's it going? Good to see you. He got me excited. He was always talking about Beyond Meat stock, and that's what partially what inspired me to. I was talking about the Beyond Meat stock earlier. But yeah, we all met in the same place. So
yeah, that was quite a class. So anything on your mind that you want to talk about that we should be aware of, that any of either, it doesn't have to necessarily be a controversy, but are there what about some of the things that divide, some of the vegan doctors? Are those things that you've tackled on your channel?
A little bit. I mean, I haven't gone too deep into it. One of the more recent debates was around DHA and DHA supplementation. And that was like the whole veg source and Furman and people. Well, this veg source sort of attacking Gregor's view on it. And I think people are entitled to having their different positions. But I'm just still of the view that Dr. Gregor has, that I don't see a risk for DHA, which for those that don't know, the long chain omega-3 fatty acids that our body converts from those plant-based ALAs like chia and flax. And, it can be gotten in fish or algae. And so the recommendation by a few doctors is to, you know, take some algae supplements. It might help with brain. I think that's the thing that people haven't gotten across, is that it almost comes off as more, to me, as more of like an insurance policy to be taking it in terms of things like brain maintenance, other than how they can be a little expensive to take. I don't really see, and I think they might be getting a little bit cheaper, maybe not, but you know, it might help with brain, like preventing brain shrinkage. We don't actually know either way, but we had that study with people who were taking, you know, they had, I think, a pretty reasonably large intake of DHA, and they had lower brain shrinkage. And then Jeff Nelson was like, oh, well, that was way higher than vegans would be taking, so therefore there's no reason to take it at all. And then there's also, but then I don't understand how he kind of debunked that with that logic, but then was like, oh, there's this prostate cancer risk, which was very clearly also associated with a super high intake of these DHA supplements. Partially, I believe, were from fish supplements as well, which of course could have a connection based off toxic heavy metals and things like that. So I think there's a very weak argument for them being dangerous. And there's a pretty strong argument for being like, there's not a risk of just taking the normal recommended 300 milligrams per day. Anyway, I'm just reiterating some things that I've heard Dr. Greger say. I'm not trying to come off as like the expert making the recommendations on those.
But is there a risk in not taking it? I mean, isn't just having a tablespoon of flax or chia a day enough?
Well, and this is another thing that Jeff was looking at it from the perspective of every single vegan having a low omega-6, low oil, healthy whole food vegan diet, when the reality is a lot of them are slamming down those omega-6 oils, which means that their conversion ratio of those plant-based omega-3s, like from chia, that ALA, is going to be worse than if they weren't taking it. So if you, I would bet 50 to 60, maybe even 75% of vegans throughout the world are probably consuming too much omega-6 just based off the processed foods that are around. And so, yeah, there's like this community of people that are trying to be really healthy and not eating that. But you can't generalize. And so it just seems safer for the recommendation to take it if you can afford it.
Right. So I'm assuming you take some.
I take it sort of spot, and this is where what I also say is like, I'm also not, I also try to rely more, because I know I have a lower omega-6. I try to rely more on omega-3s, and even that I need to be better about. So it's something where it wouldn't hurt. So I sort of do like a weird mix of it. I have like a spotty mix of the DHA supplementation and taking and making sure I get the omega-3s. So it's like when I know I've been bad at getting enough short chain omega-3s for a couple weeks, and then I might hop on the DHA wagon harder. But in general, like, I'm not too concerned about it. I'm also younger as well. It's sort of like an elderly brain maintenance thing. So my inflammation is also, I'm not gonna say what it is, super low. So anyway, go for it.
Well, there's a blood test though. What do you think of the blood test, like a fatty acid profile, to see where you are before you decide whether or not you're?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the money, you can get online and believe you can get a direct DHA blood test. I don't know where you could do it, but I haven't done it.
That's okay. So Lori has a good question. Do you think that the YouTubers who were vegan but then went back to sad eating hurt the movement?
I think it's hard to say, because it was actually, in the scheme of things, a very small amount of people really fast, which definitely made it seem like the whole world was falling down. And then you come to realize that this was actually spread out through a pretty long period of time, and some of them were just lying about it and felt comfortable to come forward, or literally just got caught. Like, for example, Ravana was lying about it for a while and was caught on film eating fish. And so when you actually look at like 3 or 4, when you're actually talking about larger YouTubers, you're talking about 3 or 4 over the course of like a year and a half, all coming out at once or as a few months go along. And also just, people also kind of do things in trends as well. So the people who maybe weren't really that into it ethically or whatever, just felt like it was like, okay, the gateway's open, I can just do this. Like, I think about somebody like Raw Alignment being like, oh, you know, all these people quit. Like, a couple people quit that I know, like, I'm just gonna quit too. I don't really know. I have a whole story on her. I have a whole video on her as well, going through her particular case. But it just, and then a lot of these people are going, you know, she's, you know, eating bacon on her 30-day carnivore challenge and stuff. It's like the excuses usually don't really add up. It's like, I'm trying to be healthier, then why are you eating a carcinogen a week later? Like, and we have had older vegan YouTubers quit like from years back and then go and literally doing like bacon mukbangs, like not that much later. Like it's pretty clear that there's more going on with a lot of these people. And that's not to say that no vegans ever have any health problems, and they do. And we need more like vegan doctor support. That would really help. And people, like not sugarcoating things as well is really good, because then when people do have the health problems, they can more easily seek some help. And so, I mean, that's my answer. But I think it probably did some damage. But I also think that long term, it didn't really hurt. It did more damage. Like if these people were all still making like pro-vegan videos, it would help save animals. But they're not. So
Absolutely. Do you have a baby?
No, I don't.
Okay, because then I don't understand this question, but I'll read it. Your videos are professional and don't talk about your baby. Well, that's because you don't have one, apparently. But maybe videos on the science proving a raising plant-based baby is healthy, or how to deal with friends and family. That
I would just go to the vegan pregnancy and parenting Facebook group. There's doctors on there.
Nice, nice. Debbie has a great question. How do you research your videos exactly?
I usually, I have kind of like a funnel I work down through. So I pick a topic. For example, I'm probably going to do a video on gout soon, because people have suggested, even though I know it's not going to get them any views, hopefully it'll help someone. So basically what you do is, what I do is I might go through PubMed and search all of the gout and diet studies, gout and like vegan or plant-based, and see if there's anything particular on there. And then, of course, there's a lot of people who have done articles or videos on it already that have thankfully maybe cited the research they talk about. So maybe there's somebody like Dr. Greger who has a video, and I try to not just copy what he does, but I'll try to like work off it or make sure it's only a very small portion of my videos, his research. And so that's a good place. Or if there's an article that cited the research, then that's what I do. And then I outline a video and work on the research from there and just kind of snowball it and create a video like that.
Robert Cheek had a comment on the question I just asked you. He writes, for so many people, the explanation of their surprise actions is that they follow the money or attention. So sometimes the moral aspect of veganism wasn't their impetus in the first place. I would agree, because somebody that's an ethical vegan isn't going to give up veganism even if they get sick.
Yeah, it is sad, because some of these people, like, they at least adopted, or at least like to say that they adopted an ethical aspect. They might have made a video or two about the ethical aspects of it, which is, it's unfortunate, because like you like to think that people are really making all the connections, and maybe they are. But then if they can convince themselves, even ethical vegans I've seen quit, if they can convince themselves that their own health is at more of a risk, then their priorities change from saving animals to like saving themselves. That's their justification. And I'm sure there are situations where people's health does get pretty bad. And obviously I'm of the belief that with proper care, they'd be fine staying on a vegan diet. But when they're in that situation, you're panicking. I'm sure people quit. But I do agree. There are people who legit just went on, they saw vegan was trending. They liked the idea of losing some weight or something. They went on they started their quote unquote vegan channel, or they didn't even, make veganism the part of the name of their channel. They just decided they announced being a vegan channel because they were on a vegan diet, which is not necessarily a full vegan lifestyle. So.
Absolutely. Have you done any videos on coffee? Because that's one of those things, most of the doctors I interview say it's not really health promoting, but then I'm listening to a summit this week and it's like, yeah, drink 5 cups a day.
I haven't done one, and I sort of did the research getting ready to do one, and then I'm just, how things go, I got distracted and I didn't do it. But it seems from what I've gathered, on at least I think Dr. Greger had a good amalgamation of research on it, which was, there's some pros and cons, but it doesn't seem to be affecting mortality. Things people put in coffee can definitely affect mortality. High saturated fat, dairy products, or coconut milk, or I should say coconut oil in your bulletproof coffee or something like that. Butter at this point isn't going to help. The sugar, high refined sugar in it, of course, is going to have a negative health impact. But then if those get conflated with other things, like then basically I have to do the research to give you a really good answer. But from what I've heard, probably pretty neutral. Like there's antioxidants, but then the stimulants in it might have some effects, but maybe they don't really have that negative effect. And, it depends on the type of coffee. If it's like green tea, it's probably, or it's not type of coffee, but if you're looking at caffeine, something like green tea is probably better. Matcha with all the green tea antioxidants and stuff.
That's great. You're studying right now to be an MPH. So what will that mean when you get it?
Not really anything. Just joking. Basically, I thought I would get it just because I wanted to learn more and that I could eventually do some research myself. But then it also is a good place. Like if I do want to write a book, it'll be a good place, like sort of good foundation to stand on to write a book. And then just maybe there's some opportunities that'll present themselves by having it, period. So when I'm done, I'll probably just keep on making the same types of videos I make.
But will your channel be Mike the Vegan, comma?
Yeah, it's going to be on my official graduation certificate. It's going to have my diploma. Is going to have Mike the Vegan on it.
That's terrific. Well, I'll ask this question, but you don't have to answer because it does put you on the spot from Lori. Who is his favorite plant-based doctor? Who is he most influenced by?
That is kind of a really hard one. I like a lot of them. I feel like it's already clear from how much I've said in this video that I'm most influenced by Dr. Greger. But there's probably some other plant-based doctors that I really like. I also like just different parts. I also think it's like, if you like plant-based doctor, don't feel like you have to agree with 1000% of everything they say, because then that just becomes dogmatic. Like, for example, Dr. Clapper is amazing. I love him on so many things. He gave such a good speech at the UK vegan campout that I was at. Which was a crazy time to think that we were both speaking in front of like thousands of people, and now you can't even like walk next to people. But then he's also one that, hopped on the like don't take DHA wagon. And that was for fear of prostate cancer, which I don't think is like necessarily a scientifically strong argument. But then like I love him in so many other ways. So it's hard to say. There's so many good ones out there. Neil Bernard is totally great as well. The list goes on. I do like Pam Hopper as well for everything else. I have mentioned her on my channel like 3 times as like a good someone doing good stuff with vegan, whole food vegan eating and things like that. So.
Well, I like what you say, Mike, about just because you like somebody doesn't mean you have to agree with them 1000%, whether they're your husband or your doctor, because especially if they're not your doctor and they don't know your history,
Yeah, totally. And then the list goes on. I think about Angie Sadeghi. I think about the doctors Shirzai, couple that does the brain stuff. People like I don't even think she's the Veggie MD anymore. Whatever. She might have changed to her real name, Danielle Belardo. There's just a lot of people out there that are doing really good work. And then there's somebody, like Milton Mills is just like a super powerful, awesome speaker. And then, everybody I can mention, there's things that I don't agree with on 100% on, but I like something that they're doing. So that.
Oh, that's a very, very good attitude that you have that. You think you'll ever write a book?
I think I will. I mean, I already have an e-cookbook. So published. I actually have a little trademark, little published slip from that. So I'm a published author.
I did not know that. I don't know what kind, what kind of vegan are you? Like people are saying, is he SOS free? So tell us about your book.
It's a whole food vegan cookbook. It's 30 recipes. It is no oil in there, no sugar, super refined sugar. And then I think it's either like super duper low sodium or no sodium for most recipes. Like there's some where it's like out of laziness, for your sake, your sanity, maybe just put some ketchup as one of the ingredients in this sauce or something like that. That's about how far the salt goes. Maybe some seaweed, things like that. But it's it's a pretty chill whole food book. I mean, I'm all about whole foods, but then I also think it's good to meet people where they're at. So like, for example, if there's a young person who's trying to be vegan and maybe a little bit healthier, who has absolutely no chronic diseases, the risk of getting a chronic disease is really low. Should they be religiously not eating oil, or should they just be trying to eat low oil? Like I might, like for me, it's like, I can't just yell at somebody to in that situation to not be having like a tiny bit of one of like the healthier oils, or like never ever go to a restaurant with their friends or something like that. But people who are like trying to reverse a disease, that is a completely different scenario. And that's what people don't understand about my channel sometimes. Because I'll have like I have my oil is the vegan killer videos, but then in other videos, I'm like, choose where you are on the spectrum. So like for me, it's like shooting high. The best case scenario for people is eating whole food vegan with none of these processed foods. But then I also see that there's people that are literally never going to do that. But if you move them a step in the right direction, then they'll be a healthier person and hopefully feel better and be less likely to quit the vegan diet as well.
Well, that I agree with you, because I see that a lot, especially at Veg Fest, and people don't understand that those of us that follow what may seem like a more extreme version of the vegan diet, we didn't start out that way as vegans, and we're doing it generally because we did have some kind of a health challenge that made us have to do it. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to do the actual strictest version of the diet that I can do. No, it didn't evolve like that for people.
Yeah. And that's where I'm just not going to talk about Pam Popper anymore, because I like her in so many ways, and I feel like it's just I feel like I spent like 15 minutes ragging on her lockdown views. So I don't need to talk about her, but I think it's just the principle of trying to make sure everybody eats a little healthier. It's going to help vegan people. Like there are people out there who are slamming down vegan junk food, and they're probably going to die 20 years younger than they otherwise would have on a vegan diet. And like they're vegan activists trying to make veganism look as good as possible to save as many animals as possible. And it's like, I just can't, like, logically, those two things don't come together, because if you present as somebody that is not doing, I shouldn't even say that. I should say, if you end up just like going way before your time based off consuming extreme amounts of processed foods, then that is just not a good decision. So I advocate people to move in the other direction, because I wasn't trying to like shame any body types or anything like that. I was just trying to say that.
And also,
I want everybody to be healthy.
Right. The other thing is, when I was talking to Dr. Furman today, it's like, when those of us that eat the way we eat, we actually like it. Like, we don't think of it as being in jail or a punishment. We really like the way we eat.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing is, people also look at, there's a woman named Abby Sharp who does a ton of very high viewed videos on YouTube, just literally judging vegans and what they eat. And she's, not always so negative, but often pretty negative about what they eat. And she, I believe, recently in a Derek Simnett video, he doesn't eat oil. He just doesn't have oil in his house when he cooks. And she more or less painted not eating oil as a disordered eating pattern. And going vegan a lot of times is also looked at as a disordered eating pattern. And it's like, look, I can take somebody who is on a vegan diet, and anybody could do this, on a standard American diet, take what they ate in the last couple of days, write out every single ingredient, total up the number of different ingredients they ate, maybe it's 20, and then say, okay, we're going to have you go vegan and eat twice the variety of foods. How is that restrictive? I'm sorry, it's not. It's anti-restrictive. And so that's like my response to people who say that this is a restrictive eating pattern.
Did you see Dr. Garth Davis on The Doctors when they had that little debate there?
Was it the one where he was like, that egg study was funded by the egg industry? I think he's been on multiple times.
It was the one with, he was with the guy that did the movie. I think it was from 2007. It was, there was some yelling going on with the dermatologist. Do you remember that? I've
seen him on a couple times. I think he was talking. Was he on when Stephen Gundry was on, or was he on with? Was that with What the Health?
Yeah, with the What the Health.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the time where, they were talking about the woman, one of the other doctor ladies, or some woman there, who knows who she was like, oh, well, that, this whole anti-egg thing is blown out of proportion. Here's a study from the British Medical Journal saying that eggs aren't that bad. And then Garth Davis was like, is that authored by blah, blah, blah this year? Well, look at the funding. It's funded by the Egg Board. It was like, burn. And then everybody was, it's like mic drop. So that, I love having people out there that know the research that well. And thankfully, he recently wrote a book, so he knew the research that well. He knew that that was the exact study she was talking about, just based off what she was trying to say. So that's where a lot of people need to get, which is really hard to do. You have to be on a whole nother level to do that.
Right. Well, we have a compliment on your white teeth, probably because you're vegan.
Oh, my white teeth. Yeah. I'm also just a little blown out right now. Like I look paler in this lighting and this camera than I normally do. So my teeth are not normally this white, but thank you.
So Asia, and you don't, by the way, if there's a question you don't want to answer, you don't have to, but I'll ask it. Asia says, would you get vaccinated if they came up with a COVID-19 vaccine? And what are your thoughts on making a vaccine compulsory?
Like I said, I prefer not talking about vaccines, but I would say it would all depend on where we are with herd immunity. Like I would want to get an antibody test first to see if I've had it, because I have a little bit of a feeling like I might have had it, which is a lot of what a lot of people say. And so obviously in that case, I wouldn't. It would also, I also looking like how it was developed, where we were in terms of the stage of national herd immunity. I'm not black and white on these issues. I have to weigh the pros and cons. So that's my answer.
So do you have channels of people attacking you?
What do you mean channels?
Well, I mean, like, you know, how there's like, you're talking about this Abby Sharp who's attacking certain vegan doctors. Are people, because I only had one channel attacking me, and frankly, it makes me want to quit. Like, I don't want it. I don't like it.
Don't want to bring you down. That's winning. That's them winning. I would say, yeah, I have a lot of people have made video responses, like either debunking, trying to like debunk my ideas or just saying that I look bad. Like I had an interview with John Venus and the lighting was right over me. I had 2 hours of sleep. I was in the UK. I looked literally horrible. And I knew I looked horrible the moment it went live. I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. And then like anti-vegan channel guy made like a 30-minute response to it. Again, this is what I was referencing earlier, of just talking about how I must have been on drugs and how, again, of course, everyone, you know, you're always about to die as a vegan. So of course I think that was in there. So yeah, a ton of them.
And it doesn't bother you? Because see, I don't know how you guys are so thick-skinned. Like Dr. McDougall says he'd rather be hated than ignored. I kind of would ignore it.
I think it's something I've cultured over being on YouTube for like 5 years. It's also just like knowing, like I know my blood work and I know these things. Like if I had doubts about my own health or whatever, I might feel a little different about it. But you know, I weigh 20 pounds more than when I did ever eating meat. I'm strong. I haven't been able to go to the gym because it's been closed, but last I was stronger than I ever was eating meat. And, you know, it's just knowing in myself that I'm better where I am now than I was is all I really need. And then knowing that these are also generally like miserable people. Like especially the person that has criticized you. It's just, you know, they often try and say that the person is like, their eyes have no life in them and things like that. And it's like, they're, you know, like this person is lacking life to a certain degree. And it's like, I get more sad thinking about what their life is than I do about them criticizing me. And that's like, yeah.
You know, what's interesting, the person on vegan deterioration, she never even shows herself. So it's really easy to take pot shots at everybody's appearance when you don't even see her.
Yeah, it's just weird that you could take her voice and then take a little bit of footage of her and then have her narrate the exact same things with the dramatic music and the zooming in, and then it would be no different. If somebody didn't know who was vegan and knew who was vegan, or somebody didn't know who was and wasn't vegan, they would be having the same response. Like if she presented herself as a new vegan YouTuber that was dying of deterioration, and her viewers didn't know what she looked like, they would be having all of the same hate responses to what she's saying now, of like, oh, look at her around the eyes, it's so puffy and messed up, and oh, look at, I don't want to comment on like her weight or anything, but you know, things like about her physique and stuff, they would just shred. They would absolutely just, because they're mentally, they're in the lowest place you can be, and so so that's like the test to know if it's not valid or not, in addition to just outright denying science, which she has in response to people talking about my videos there.
Do you just ignore them? Is that your advice?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't even realize these people are making videos about me until like I'm, you know, like maybe they'll somebody like send me one like weeks later, and it'll be like, wow, this it's pretty amazing that this person keeps making videos about me. Or the most hilarious one was meat dieter Sean Baker, who used to be a doctor. He got his license taken away. I don't really know why. Maybe it was related to something he did in terms of his responsibility of medicine or not. I don't know the story. But I made a video on him because he had a blood test and the results were just, they were not of a healthy person. Diabetic blood sugar levels, testosterone levels of a 70-year-old, on and on and on. And he kept on saying, no, these are good based off my unique physiology because of my all meat diet. And so I joked that he was like, the only way it was okay is if he's like transforming into a reptilian man. And obviously I was joking around, having a good time with it. And so I've dished out a little bit myself, but then he made a video where he just went really angrily off the rails on me, called me also, in addition to a bunch of profanity, he called me prick the vegan, which is hilarious to me. And so I've actually adopted it toward my DJ name, which is DJ Lil Prick. So if anybody wants me to pump some beats out, I can do that under the moniker DJ Lil Prick. But he was just there, angry, just going over and over again, like, oh my god, like this guy is blah blah blah, like just swearing at. And I actually that was probably the hardest I had laughed in a while when I watched that, because it was, to me, it was the funniest thing. And it's like, maybe it's just the way I respond to things, or maybe it's because I happen to just luckily have enough like self-worth or self-confidence to not let those things hit me really hard. And I don't want to say, I will also say, like, as a guy versus all of for somebody like you who, just gender wise, my gender has a lot less visual pressure put on them. So like, it's so obvious that, so many more women get off YouTube for being bullied the way they look. And so you're absolutely validated in like feeling the way you do based off these videos. But I'm not, you can't just say, oh, you just have enough confidence and you'll be fine. It is in many cases real bullying, and it's actually YouTube's failure to enforce the bullying guidelines that allow some of this to happen. So
is there anything that can be done about it? Because I've reported it when people have done similar things on Facebook, it's been removed and those people have been kicked off. Why is YouTube so, I mean, now you could say the virus, they're not responding, but they really don't seem to care.
They didn't respond before. It's pretty clear that there's the guidelines toward criticism have just become overextended. So it's okay to make comments and criticism on anything that's even copyrighted. And so when you have somebody who's making criticism repeatedly to a level, literally physically picking apart your features and just going on and on about every little detail of your face and talking about your, the fat content of your body and different parts of your body, and making statements about like your just you in general, really negative ones over and over again. That definitely qualifies, I believe, in certain cases here as bullying. And it's probably a mixture between it not being a large enough case, large enough channels, and just not having the right people at YouTube look at it, and then them also trying to avoid a slippery slope, because if all of a sudden YouTube has to actually enforce their bullying policy, that would cost them millions of dollars in man hours, and they don't want to do that. So to be, I don't want to come off as like anti-YouTube. I have obviously, like those doctors I was talking about, I have disagreements with the way YouTube runs certain things, but I'm also grateful for the fact that I have a platform. So please don't take it away.
Okay. I just wish that there was a kinder, gentler YouTube. So today when I was talking to Dr. Furman, we talked about what he likes to read and what he likes to watch. So I'm seeing behind you, maybe you like to sew and play guitar?
That's my partner's sewing machine, and that's a cello that I only play mediocrely. So I do like to play guitar. But yeah, it's an electric.
My eyes are. Well,
it's not. No, it's just a familiar instrument that people aren't familiar with, because it's an electric cello, so there's no body, right? So it's harder to differentiate the size of it and things, but it's actually pretty big.
Right. Well, this next question is a fun question. It's to both of us. I'll go first. And it's, what YouTube channels do we watch? I will tell you, I just don't have time. I'm going to start watching Mike's channel now because I'm re-inspired to do that. I'm only subscribed to 18 of them, and 17 of them are my actual personal friends. But the only channel I really watch regularly is Pluto the dog. How about you, Mike?
Oh man, I honestly spend most of my YouTube time watching like how-to videos. Whatever the latest thing I'm learning, I'll watch, like solar. But if you're talking about like vegan YouTubers, man, it depends. Like I'll usually go through like little periods where I'll like try and watch a bunch of what they do. Like I watched a bunch of Lily Koi Hawaii at one point. I watched a bunch of Derek Simnett. Obviously Dr. Greger, love him. There's so many that I know I'm forgetting right now, and I'm going to be a horrible person. But I don't even know. Like I just watched a Hench Herbivore video, which is funny because another YouTuber who's great is Tess Begg, who's like a fitness / vegan YouTuber, and another one of those like high meat, actually all meat diet, pretty sure all meat diet, or like anti-vegan activist guy, who I don't even need a name on here, made a video criticizing Tess Begg and what she eats and everything she does. And so Hench Herbivore is a British vegan fitness and also like debunk kind of channel, did a response to it, which is really funny. I think so. There's so many good channels out there. It's hard.
Are all your videos pre-recorded, or do you ever do live like this?
I did a live the other day. Remember the one I was talking about where I got really frustrated because like, okay, this is an example of how frustrating. So I go on to talk and I realized that I have no audio and my microphone always works and my computer randomly doesn't this time. And so I just had to unplug the USB port and plug it back in, and it worked. And it's like things like that. And then that just ruined the first section of my live stream. And so I had to go and like cut it if I wanted to post it later. So just things like that. But I'm going to try and go live more so that I don't make these same mistakes. And so I'll be live a little more often.
Judy was saying, we make videos for deaf people, but isn't it automatic, the closed captioning, if they push the little button?
You'll get mediocre automatic captions. I've had quite a few of my videos have had translations, thankfully, into other languages, and then also like full English captions. Something I really want to do with my channel is put that in officially, but it costs quite a bit of money. And so I'm going to try and work on that in Spanish as well. But you can get, I think if most, like a lot of deaf people have probably gotten used to parsing out the mistakes that the automatic translation makes. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be hard for like names and things like that. But I'd say luckily in mine, I have a good microphone right there. So when I see that translation, it's like 95% accurate. So
I keep, like, sometimes if I'm doing my spinning, I will watch maybe something on YouTube, but I always put the closed captions on just because I'm multitasking. And sometimes the translations are hilarious when they get it wrong.
You just do it for entertainment purposes. Why not?
Absolutely. Well, I'll just ask you one more question because everybody wants to know what we all eat. So you want to just tell us what you eat in a day, basically, and then I'll let you go because I know you've got a lot to do.
I did a recent What I Eat in a Day lockdown edition. If you want to watch it to see me eat the same stuff that I eat a lot of times. I usually start with a loaded bowl of oatmeal that has hopefully been put on the night before in the Instant Pot to save sanity. Load that up with a bunch of frozen berries usually. And I'll throw a banana in there, a bunch of, like cinnamons. Sometimes I'll even throw like cardamom in. So that's my thing. If I'm good about it and I have it, I'll throw that ground flax in, but I'm just not, I need to be better about that. And then lunch, a lot of times, I eat a lot of Japanese sweet potatoes because I like them a lot. So I'll make meals around that, a ton of veggies, a ton of beans. I usually try and plan my meal around like a whole starch, a bunch of veggies, and a legume, and try and get some raw greens in. But I'm just not excited about raw greens. I'm trying to grow some so they taste better. And then, you like pasta and make, I don't know, just if I'm feeling extra, like putting in some work, I'll make something fancier, like a lasagna, or like even like in my ebook, there's like a shepherd's pie. It's like lentils and mashed potatoes. And if I get really fancy, maybe I'll try to do some type of other cuisine, like I'll make a curry, brown rice and curry sauce, a ton of vegetables, things like that.
Now, I've been posting the link to your YouTube channel throughout this broadcast, but to buy your ebook, is that where they would go?
It's under every single video that I've posted in the last 2 years. So it's one of the first links. You can also go to MikeTheVegan.com for the direct purchase where it'll bring you. So anyway, if you want to check it out, it's an ebook. So many people still think it's a real book. And I feel horrible. So like, why haven't I gotten it yet? And they're trying to be like, it's just an ebook. Sorry.
That's funny. Are you the only vegan in Iowa?
Yes. No, actually, I went to the Des Moines Vegan Festival last year when people could still be near each other. And it was pleasantly, surprisingly massive. So Iowa is doing pretty well. Got some animal sanctuaries and stuff. So
Well, you are an awesome guy. I think if you were a dog, you'd probably be like a lab. You're just so, yeah. You're just because you're you just you're very respectful of other people, and you seem very kind. And I like your energy, and I love your channel. And I'm sorry I haven't been watching it regularly. I promise. Just like I'll tell you what, we'll make a deal. You eat you eat more greens, and I'll watch more of your channel.
that is a trade that I think is worth it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for spending.
All right, great to see you again.
It's
Yeah.
so good to see you, and I hope you will really teach that class, because I would love to know more about how you do what you do, because it's just congratulations on your extraordinary success, and for being so fair about everything you do. You're not an asshole is basically what I'm trying.
Oh, well, I strive to not be an asshole. That's my base goal in life.
And you have accomplished it very, very beautifully. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Come back tomorrow when at, let's see, what time is it? Yes, noon tomorrow. We have Dr. Jessica Krantz. She is a plant-based doctor in Manhattan who is a dermatologist, because I know you guys have been having a lot of dermatology questions. And at 3 o'clock, we have Animal Samaritans, my favorite animal organization, that's going to be talking to us. Thanks again, Mike. It's been so great catching up with you.
Yep.
And be well and take care.
Thank you. See ya. See everybody. Thanks for watching.